Welcome to the Haunting of the Paranormally Possessed. Today I review The Nun. Things are about to get unholy. Directed by Corin Hardy, starring Demián Bichir, Taissa Farmiga, Jonas Bloquet, and Bonnie Aarons as the Nun. This film is another chapter in the Conjuring universe. It takes place as the predecessor of all the films, where a nun commits suicide and it's up to a priest, another nun, and a local Romanian to figure out what happened at this church. Upon arrival, things aren't as they appear, where the church is being haunted by a demonic nun. Now it's up to our trio to bless this church and get out alive. I really enjoyed our characters in this film. I thought the three of them had great dynamic and they were very unique in their own personalities. We had a badass priest, we had a nun who hasn't taken her vows, who was super innocent, and then my personal favorite, the comic relief, Frenchie. Frenchie was the local delivery boy, and man, he knew how to break the tension. Anything that came out of his mouth was hilarious, and you really could relate to the guy. Taissa Farmiga's character, who was a nun who hasn't taken her vows, was the strongest character of the three. I really felt that she held her own in this film. She did a great job when it came to making decisions. I like the idea that when this film took place, a lot of the scarier moments didn't happen inside the church, but actually outside in the graveyard, because the whole atmosphere was really creepy. Whether it's Frenchie walking through the forest or the priest going into the graveyard, this film did a really good job with using the location to create an eerie atmosphere. But when you're inside the church, that's where things really pick up, because you have characters walking through hallways, not knowing what's going to jump out at you. This film did a lot of the cliches that are well known in the paranormal style of film, and I thought that it was well executed. I also enjoyed how they tied this all into the Conjuring universe. Being that we have the Conjuring 1 and 2, and we have 2 Annabelle movies, The Nun has been featured in 2 of the 4 films. The way that they tied it all in was nice, because we saw items from movies like Annabelle appearing in this one, and then we also had characters being related to the first Conjuring. So they did a good job covering their grounds and tying it all together. As for the nun herself, she is definitely creepy. You do not want to be caught looking at her for more than a couple of seconds, because the way that they designed her, the makeup, the look, it's just going to make you feel very uneasy and uncomfortable, that you're going to want to look away from the screen. And seeing that this film is designed for jump scares, they do the typical leave you waiting and then something's going to pop out of nowhere, but there are a few moments that genuinely catch you off guard and you're gonna be freaked out. With that being said, they do actually overuse the jump scares in this movie, and it becomes repetitive and tacky. I like a film where they're going to scare you naturally, and in this film they don't necessarily pull it off because it becomes predictable. On top of that, I was not a fan of the story. It just really felt weird and awkward. It's like it's divided into thirds. Each character is doing their own thing, and nothing comes across as though their characters should be doing what they're doing. We have a lot of scenes where Sister Irene is being chased or attacked by a variety of nuns, and she's put in situations that any other person probably would act differently, which brings me to The Nun. For a film that is supposed to be based around this character as an origin story, we really don't get to experience the nun. We get to experience a series of nuns, but the nun that you're coming to see, you don't actually get. She kind of just appears near the end and is just more of a shadowy figure. What I was hoping for was more interaction between the creepy demonic nun and Sister Irene or Father Burke, and that didn't happen. We had a lot of side characters that were just interacting with the others, and they were the ones trying to create the jump scares and build the tension throughout the film. But you're not here to see random nun number 1 go and attack Sister Irene. You want to see the nun who has been built up for a few years now to be floating down the halls with her creepy face, reaching out at you and doing something scary. Not the case in this film. Happens maybe once. I just felt like they had this concept and they didn't go full tilt with it. They just said, hey, you know what'd be creepy? This nun. Let's put him in a religious situation and make it more like a Indiana Jones adventure. Because that's what this film felt like. With people going in underground mazes, finding trapdoors, and looking for holy chalices. And I gotta tell you, the fact that this film created like a holy hand grenade based out of the blood of Jesus was like the tipping point for me. Yes, it's cool, but man, is it cheesy. Being a fan of the Conjuring universe, I was looking forward to this film because I like the idea that they're taking these sub-characters and building whole stories around them. In fact, I hope they go through with the Crooked Man. That, to me, is gonna be creepy. But in this film, I felt as though they didn't fully utilize the nun to her full potential. The film itself wasn't really scary. It was more of a mystery than it was a horror. But we did have some really good characters. In fact, Frenchie was the best character in this film, and that is a character who I would like to see have his own side story. That's how entertaining he was. On top of that, Sister Irene was a strong character who I thoroughly enjoyed, and I thought Taissa Farmiga did an amazing job portraying this character. The setting itself was really awesome, but overall, you just have a very weak story that didn't deliver. I wasn't necessarily scared. Yes, there were some jump scares, but they became too predictable to the point that I wasn't scared anymore. And when you're trying to make a paranormal movie that's gonna frighten people, you really need to have strong, tense moments that are going to last with the audience after they leave. And when I left this film, I slept great. The nun herself is a creepy character that has the potential to scare audiences all over the world. She just didn't do it in this film. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 2.5 upside down burning crosses out of 5. As always, thank you for watching. Like the video and comment below with your thoughts if you've seen the film. And if this is your first time here, subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything we're doing here on Bloodbath and Beyond.